Karigane is a little-known secret in the world of Japanese green tea. If prepared right, it can have a light sweetness, a floral aroma, and a lower caffeine content. In this video, we're going to walk you through how to prepare this tea and what to look for in the taste. Before we get started, it would really mean a lot to us if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay tuned for future tea videos. We have hundreds of videos on all topics related to Japanese green tea, but for this video, we're going to focus on Karigane specifically. Without further ado, let's get started. So to get started, we're going to take out our Karigane, and for this video, I'm going to be using the Gyokuro Karigane from Mr. Sakamoto. So this is a shaded stem tea. You may have heard of Kukicha or other stem teas. And what makes Karigane unique is that it comes from shaded tea plants, similar to the tea plants used to make Gyokuro, Kabuse Sencha, and Matcha. So these tea plants need to be shaded in order to produce these teas, and the byproduct is Karigane, which is a smoother and sweeter stem tea compared to Kukicha, which is kind of the more basic stem tea. So if you just look at the leaves here, you notice that there's a higher ratio of leaves to stems. So maybe 2/3 leaves, 1/3 stems. This sets it apart from the Sakamoto Kukicha, which is kind of maybe half leaves, half stems, or even more stems than leaves. And this is going to affect the flavor as well. This is basically a gyokuro. It's just a gyokuro that has some more stems. You can see the leaf particles here are very similar to those leaves used to make gyokuro. So this is definitely going to affect the taste. But to get started, we're going to prepare our teapot. We did a video before where we talked about the Fukumushi Sencha, which has much smaller leaf particles. This here, you see the leaves are much bigger, so we can use this black Tokoname Kyusu with the built-in clay filter rather than the circular metal one. And I'll go ahead and put about 5 grams in here. You can measure it if you want, but after a while you should be able to tell just by looking at it basically what 5 grams looks like. And then what I'm going to do is pour in the water, and for this I've prepared between 60 and 70 degrees Celsius. So we're going to put about 150 to 200 milliliters of water and let it brew for about a minute. And so this is pretty similar to a normal gyokuro, but with the addition of the stems, which is actually going to make the flavor a little bit more mellow. It does make it so that they can handle a little bit hotter water, because with gyokuro you really want to keep it at 60 degrees, so it kind of maintains that nice sweet flavor. This is also very good for a cold brew, so that's something we can maybe try in other videos. It kind of develops this really nice kind of cool cucumber with a little bit of cantaloupe melon. It's really great in the summertime to enjoy this as a cold brewed tea. If we just look at the leaves here, the stems are going to float right to the top because they're kind of hollow, and the leaves are going to sink down a little bit more because they're a little bit heavier. Just something I thought was kind of cool. So let's go ahead and pour this out. First brewing. So during my tasting, I'm going to kind of compare this to a normal gyokuro, because there's a couple things that I think are worth mentioning. So the color is pretty similar. It's kind of like this, almost like pale yellowish green. You see a lot of particles in there. That's no problem. Yeah, the aroma coming off of here is very floral, and this is something you get with a lot of stem teas. The stems kind of have this kind of floral aroma to them. Yeah, if you smell the wet leaves, you really get this strong, flowery aroma. Very nice. Yeah, right away I'm getting this sweet kind of cantaloupe melon. There is a little bit of that umami, but it's not overpowering like with the gyokuro. You taste the gyokuro and you have this immediate dip into this savory, this strong savory almost seaweedy flavor, almost like a thick vegetable broth actually. This you don't get as much here. So if you like kind of the sweeter teas, but you don't like that strong umami hit, you might want to go for a Karigane because it is a good balance. Yeah, really getting kind of these fruity flavor profiles. This is something that really comes out in the cold brew as well. Yeah, I keep thinking of either like a cantaloupe melon or a honeydew melon. There is a little bit of that kind of mild hay flavor that you get with a lot of stem teas. Another thing, a good thing about Karigane is it is low in caffeine, and the flavors is obviously a little bit more mild than Gyokuro. So this is something that you can really drink throughout the day, whereas Gyokuro is really more of a morning cup. So just something to keep in mind. I think this is a good tea because you can kind of just drink it whenever. It's not too strong, and it's not going to keep you up at night. So I guess we'll go ahead and go to the second brewing. Just as with the other teas, the second brewing is just going to be 20 seconds. I'm just using a regular kettle here to heat the water. Nothing fancy. Just something that you can set the temperature so you can get it exactly right. That's the most important. If you don't have that, if you just have a regular kettle, you can use a thermometer to set the temperature or to cut off the heat when it's at the right temperature. Definitely getting more cloudy in the second brewing. Even more particulates, I would say. Yeah, it's really diving more into the floral tasting notes. So I almost get like a jasmine, I would say like a jasmine honeysuckle. It's a little bit more on these kind of sweeter, more perfumey flowers. So first brewing, you're definitely getting these fruity taste profiles, these melons. Second brewing, you're getting more of the floral characteristics and a little bit more astringency. So let's prepare the third brewing here. Take this, open it up, and get the aroma of the wet leaves first. Yeah, they have this kind of fruity floral aroma to them. Definitely don't skip this step with the Karigane because the wet leaves are really something special. I've never experienced a Japanese green tea that has that much aroma coming off the leaves. So something you may want to investigate. So just 20 seconds. The third brewing is kind of a repeat of this second brewing. Just a very short brewing time. Same temperature water. Okay, just look at the color first. Very similar in terms of color. The third brewing might be a little bit greener and a little bit cloudier. Second brewing very strong on these floral characteristics, as I mentioned before. Yeah, third brewing is also strong on kind of like these fragrant, almost like perfumey flowers. It's really interesting how that flavor and that aroma can come from just the stems of the tea plant. And normally that would kind of detract from a tea like Gyokuro, but I think what makes this tea special, the Karigane Sakamoto, is Mr. Sakamoto's really able to find a way to blend the leaves and stems together so that the stems actually accentuate the flavor instead of detracting from it. So if you've heard of the Karigane Sakamoto, it's very similar to this tea. The only difference is there's more stems in it and less leaves. So rather than taking on this kind of sweeter, fruity flavor profile, it's getting a little bit more into the floral direction, a little bit more astringency, a little bit more of that kind of mild hay flavor or summer grass flavor, like straw. So if you prefer sweeter teas and you're kind of a fan of Gyokuro, I would go for the Karigane. But if you're kind of turned off by all that, maybe go for the Karigane Sakamoto, because that's going to be a really mild tea, a little bit drier, less sweet, a little bit more of these floral characteristics. But yeah, this is definitely one of my all-time favorites. Certainly my favorite stem tea is the Karigane Sakamoto. Lower in caffeine, works great as a cold brew, so if you're looking for something refreshing in the summertime, try this out and try it as a cold brew as well. But thank you all so much for watching this. I hope you found this demonstration helpful for when it comes time to make your own Karigane at home. If you made it this far in the video, please feel free to leave us a question in the comments section. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. That would really help us out as we try to educate more people about Japanese green tea. But until then, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you all so much for watching.